A, what's your current kind of cash position? B, what are the SKUs that you're making actually money on? And then start looking at kind of the conversation with suppliers. How do you start forecasting how much you think you can do? Look at the competition, see which direction they're going in. How much more can I get of that market share? And can I go make those kind of commitments to the factory? And start even negotiating, because of all the other storage fees and stuff, can I have them potentially store some stuff and kind of help me with some of that storage costs, and then have that stuff kind of dripped over time to me so that I'm not incurring all those costs. So sometimes factories will be able to do that if you've got to, once again, think of them as a partner.
Welcome to the Ecomm Breakthrough Shortcuts. In these 5-minute episodes, we cut straight to the real stories, real numbers, and the real lessons learned from brand builders and entrepreneurs just like yourself. No fluff, just high impact takeaways that you can apply into your business today. Do you have maybe a few case studies or maybe examples of people that have reached out and that are having margin issues? What issues were they facing, and what kind of advice or recommendations did you provide to them to help them stay viable in the future?
Yeah. So first off, it's always looking at, understanding your numbers to say, how healthy of a business am I running? Am I in a good cash flow position? Because one of the key areas, the market will always kind of dictate how much you can sell something for. So the real strength always in selling products is on the buying side. So if you can actually improve your buying power, you can actually make money that way. And the better you can forecast your own kind of sales, the better it is that you can kind of go back to a factory or supplier and say, look, this is what I'm expecting to do. Because you have to think about, everybody's looking, okay, how do I maintain and still make money? If I'm a factory, I want to try to give you the best deal, but I can only do that if I can still make money. And for me to do that is if I know how much you're going to buy from me, that I can go source the raw materials in a time that I can actually get the best deals on those, so that I can actually produce a product for you at a little lower price, so that you can actually make some margins as well. So that forecasting is benefiting that factory to kind of up and further in the supply chain. So if you know your numbers to know, okay, this is what my kind of current buying power is. And if I start looking through, you start analyzing, okay, where am I actually making money? So much of that is just kind of like, well, I was told that I need to keep launching products. So people just go, after a couple of years, they got all these products, and they really haven't analyzed, what am I really making money on? Which variations am I making money on? Which ones are just, and some of it's like, okay, I need to have it just to part of that brand story that, okay, we have this range or this many colors, this many options. But at some point you have to realize, okay, well, if I'm going to be losing money on this, how do I double down on maybe these two colors that really knock it out of the park, improve my buying power, get more of those, so that actually I can start making some profits on these. So we'll start doing that kind of initial analysis to take a look at, okay, A, what's your current kind of cash position? B, what are the SKUs that you're making actually money on? And then start looking at kind of the conversation with suppliers. How do you start forecasting how much you think you can do? Look at the competition, see which direction they're going in. How much more can I get of that market share? And can I go make those kind of commitments to the factory? And start even negotiating, because of all the other storage fees and stuff, can I have them potentially store some stuff and kind of help me with some of that storage costs, and then have that stuff kind of dripped over time to me so that I'm not incurring all those costs. So sometimes factories will be able to do that if you've got to, once again, think of them as a partner. I think that's also a long-term kind of brand building mindset. It's like, think of your suppliers as true partners and build that relationship, rather than, I've got this goods this time, and then maybe next year I'll find somebody else. If you're thinking long-term strategically with them, then they're going to work with you, and they can kind of help you out in these different ways.
Yeah, I like that. So what you're saying is, overall, if you're seeing a lot of margin compression happening, maybe use this opportunity as a chance to come back and renegotiate with your manufacturer or suppliers, especially if inflation has crept up, or especially with the impact of new tariffs involved, right?
Yeah.
You can go back and say, look, we're seeing margin compression. Tariffs are only going to make that worse. So either I'm being forced to either go pull my business and go move it elsewhere, right? Whether it be to I'm going to Vietnam
Yeah.
or going to Cambodia, whatever it is. Okay. You now is a good opportunity, is all I would say, to go renegotiate those, and lowering those cogs can be very influential. Now,
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say, keep in mind, there's costs associated to make a move like that. You're gonna impact potential quality control. You don't have those relationships in place. You don't know what the output's gonna be on the next production runs. So you're adding more gamble and more risk into that whole process. The other thing, if you go back to the last time when there's tariffs, the Chinese government subsidized a lot of that with the factories. So the actual hit wasn't nearly as bad as what, on the surface level. Yes, it was considered to be this much tariff, but when the actual deals went through, if you had the right kind of buying power, you weren't feeling it nearly as much.
Why is that? How was the government subsidizing that on the China side?
From what I heard from one of the suppliers, like they were adjusting the price so that you were getting the tariff. There's a minimal impact, and then the Chinese government was kind of supplementing the factory. So they were kind of issuing that back to them, saying, okay, this is kind of how we adjusted the pricing to help move more product through.
Ah, yeah,
I don't know
okay.
if that's supposed to be openly discussed or not, but
Well, I think that is so key for you to understand too, because like if you don't ask, here's what I will say. If you don't go to your manufacturer and ask and say, "Hey, by the way, with these new tariffs, like I think is it easy to go move your manufacturing to Vietnam or to Cambodia?" Heck no, right? But you've got to throw out the threat to your
yeah,
manufacturer. You got to play poker, right? And you've got to have
exactly.
a good poker face and be like, I will move. I know it's painful, but I will move because I can't afford everything with the new rates and tariffs, etc. So if you come back to them, it never hurts to ask, right? If you don't ask, you don't get those benefits, and there's so much that can be done. I think, as you know, like if you just ask, because most
And the
people
other
won't.
thing sometimes you find out is, so China has been extending their reach into places like Vietnam. So you could basically be working with the same factory that's operationally, everything's operating like the Chinese factory. It's just operating out of Vietnam.
Yep.
So there's those type of things. If you start asking like, okay, well, yeah, sure, you can get it out of Vietnam, just use this factory because we still our factory.
Yep. That happens more often than
Yeah.
you'd think, for sure.